Elon Musk exposed something on live TV that no one saw coming. Millions in taxpayer money gone, and every trail led back to Letitia James. She thought no one would ask questions. But when Elon showed the truth, the entire room went silent. What happened next changed everything. Stick around because this is the moment they never wanted you to see. Nobody has told you this yet. But Elon Musk discovered something buried in New York's spending files that could change the way America sees its tax system. It started quietly. No press, no cameras, just a stack of documents that ended up on Elon's desk through a friend of a friend inside the New York state government. At first, it looked like boring financial paperwork, budgets, grant allocations, spreadsheets full of numbers. But Elon doesn't skim, he studies, and one small column caught his attention. It showed hundreds of millions of federal dollars money, meant to support basic services being funneled into vague programs with titles like Equity Compliance Task Force and Restorative Outreach Units. No descriptions, no receipts, just cash flowing out with little to no explanation. He kept digging. The more he looked to the stranger, it got the same addresses kept popping up. Some programs listed 0 staff, others had no contact info at all. One organization had received over $20 million in a single year and didn't even have a working website. That's when the question started forming in his head. Where was the money actually going and who had signed off on it? Elon didn't go public right away. Instead, he reached out to someone who had the experience and grit to take this further. Pam Bondi. She wasn't new to political fights, and she didn't hesitate. Within a day, she confirmed what Elon suspected. These weren't isolated mistakes. They were patterns. And those patterns pointed to New York Attorney General Letitia James. Pam asked a simple question. Is federal money being used to push political agendas under the cover of justice and equity? She took that question straight to Congress. And to everyone's surprise, Congress listened. A public hearing was scheduled. Witnesses were called. And yes, Elon Musk agreed to testify. That's when the media woke up. Headlines lit up with his name. Some praised him, some mocked him, but no one ignored him. The richest man in the world was about to expose what he believed to be the misuse of federal funds by one of the most powerful state officials in the country. And Letitia James, she said nothing. Not a word to the press, no statements, no defense, just silence. Now, here's the part that matters. What Elon found goes far beyond New York. It affects every state that receives federal funding. It affects how your tax dollars are spent. But the full story, the part that makes people uncomfortable, isn't public yet. That's what this hearing was for and what Elon revealed inside that room. Well, it left even seasoned politicians in shock. But if you think you know where this is headed, think again. The truth behind those files and what Letitia James tried to keep hidden is something you'll want to hear for yourself. Stay with us because by the end of this story, you'll understand why the room went silent. The hearing wasn't supposed to be explosive. It was scheduled like any other oversight session, routine procedural, probably forgotten within a week. But Pam Bondi had other plans. She walked in with a calm expression, holding a thick folder in one hand and a flash drive in the other. Her tone was measured. Her posture was steady. But behind the scenes, she was fully loaded. Every document had been verified, every slide crossed. She wasn't there to make noise. She was there to make a point. The first few minutes were quiet. Standard opening statements, polite greetings, a few nervous jokes from members of the committee. Cameras were rolling, but nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Until Pam took the mic. She started with one sentence. This isn't about politics. This is about money. Your money and what's been done with it. The room stiffened. She clicked a remote, and the first slide appeared a screenshot of a wire transfer from a federal education grant redirected to a consulting group that listed its address as a UPS mailbox in Brooklyn. No contact phone number, no financial disclosures, just a $3.2 million payment with the description Equity Curriculum Review. Pam looked around the room. She didn't speak loudly, but every word landed hard. That money was meant for classrooms. It went to a company with no staff and no students. Another click, another slide. A mental health outreach grant redirected to an organization that hosted workshops on colonial healing through sound baths. The cost $870,000. The reach 74 participants, more slides, followed a housing assistance program that awarded nearly $9 million to a nonprofit founded just 2 months prior with no previous record of operations. And then the name appeared on screen, Letitia James. Every document Pam showed had been authorized under James's office, signed, approved, and in some cases fast-tracked. The room grew colder with every slide. Some tried to interrupt a few representatives, raised objections about the relevance. But Pam wasn't budging. She made it clear this wasn't about ideology. It was about oversight. It was about whether one person backed by political buzzwords had turned federal funds into a personal agenda. Then she paused for months. New York. Taxpayers had no idea where their money was going. Now we're finding out and we're just getting started. Still, something was missing the link. The proof that these programs weren't just inefficient or bloated, but intentionally misleading. And that's when she revealed the twist. Elon Musk will be here in 1 hour and he's bringing data that none of us have seen. Now the room changed. This wasn't just a policy dispute anymore. It was a warning shot. Pam had laid the groundwork. Elon was about to bring the receipts the countdown had begun when Elon Musk walked into the chamber. The room changed instantly. Reporters leaned forward. Phones came out. Some members of Congress whispered to each other, already speculating what he might say. He didn't bring a team of lawyers, no handlers, no aides, just himself, a laptop, and a calm, focused look. He sat down, adjusted the mic, and nodded once. Then he spoke. "I'm not here to give opinions. I'm here to show numbers." That's when he opened his laptop and connected it to the screen behind him. The first graph appeared color-coded, simple, and impossible to ignore. It showed a sharp spike in federal funds sent to New York over the past 3 years. Nothing unusual there. But then the second graph appeared showing how that money was distributed instead of public services or infrastructure. The largest portion, over 31%, was redirected to something labeled social equity reform. Elon PED, no federal agency, defines what that means. There's no oversight, no clear metrics, but it's where the money's going. He clicked again. This time, the map of New York lit up with data points. Each one represented a program or nonprofit that had received at least $1 million in funding. Dozens of them had the same mailing address. Others shared phone numbers or board members. It looked less like a public investment network and more like a shell game. One point in particular stood out. A group labeled Access for All had received $12.4 million. But when Elon's team checked their physical location, they found nothing but an empty office suite and a locked door. The questions came fast. Was this fraud? Was someone personally benefiting? Elon didn't accuse anyone directly, but he raised one eyebrow and said, "When multiple programs receiving millions share the same P.O. box, something's wrong," he continued. Showing IRS reports, real estate filings, and contract duplicates, all public records, nothing classified, nothing secret, just data that no one had bothered to connect before. And then he dropped a number that shook the room. Over $26 million in taxpayer funds redirected to entities that either no longer exist or never fully operated. He let the silence do the work. A few members tried to push back, asking if this wasn't just a matter of sloppy paperwork or overcomplicated bureaucracy. Elon smiled slightly, maybe, but what's more likely, that dozens of different groups all made the same mistake, or that someone wanted it to look like a mistake. He wasn't shouting, he wasn't emotional, but every word carried weight. And then he closed his laptop and leaned back. "I'm not here to say who's guilty, I'm here to say the data doesn't lie." The hearing took a break after that. People rushed out to file headlines. Pam Bondi stayed seated, calm and silent. Letitia James, still, hadn't shown up, not even a spokesperson, but everyone knew when the hearing resumed. Things were going to get personal because Elon had just raised the stakes when the hearing resumed. The first thing everyone noticed was the empty seat. Letitia James had been invited. Her nameplate was there, but her chair stayed vacant. The committee chair made a brief statement. Her office had declined to send a representative no comment, no excuse, just a formal notice that she would not be participating. That silence spoke louder than anything she could have said. Pam Bondi didn't react. She simply looked at the chair, then turned back to the microphone. The room was quieter now. The tension had shifted. It was no longer about theories or suspicions. It was about accountability. And one of the most powerful figure,